Good afternoon, vinyl community. This is Glen Kellaway, your low-end music freak, back with my final installment, part number 9 of the 100 greatest albums of all time, the definitive list. So, just a recap. I know you're all anxious to see the 10, but just to recap, when I started this, my rules were I obviously had to have it in my collection. If I don't have it in my collection, I don't consider it great. So I have about 2,400 titles in my collection. So the 100 came from that. It's been an interesting list so far. I've had lots of great comments. I thank you so much for the people that went, "Are you stupid?" or people said, "Hey, that's pretty cool." There were just a lot of you. Randall Weaver, Randy was always matching his list with mine. Hey, I got 5 out of the 10. I got 4 out of the 10. I think we're batting about 500 overall. Randy, Rachel, Robert on my turntable, Shannon D gave extensive commentary, which I really appreciated. Happy Hippie. I'm forgetting people, so my apologies. I appreciate you all, and thanks so much for commenting. Let's just get at the top 10, because I've been excited about doing this all day. I've had to run around and do a bunch of errands. It's now 2:45 on Thursday afternoon. Usually I do my videos in the morning, so let's get started with number 10. Okay, Led Zeppelin. Physical Graffiti. So I have a real emotional attachment to Led Zeppelin 1, just because it's the first one, and when it came out I bought it, and it was just exciting. I always remember the excitement when I hear that album. But I think their best album is Physical Graffiti. Absolutely love it. Released in 1975, their first double studio album. They had recorded 3 great solid sides of music and needed a 4th side to make the double album, and just went through some of the unused material from past sessions from Houses of the Holy, and they came up with a few other songs and made just what I consider an epic album. Cashmere's on this album. Custard Pie, In My Time of Dying, they just do an incredible version of that. In the Light is a favorite of mine. Just a great album, great cover. What can you say? This is Zeppelin's masterpiece as far as I'm concerned. Number 10, Physical Graffiti. Number 9, this is the only one of the top 10 I don't have on vinyl, which is going to change shortly. Yes, Close to the Edge. What a brilliant album this is. I got to tell you, fans, in the 70s, when Yes was around, I didn't get it. I couldn't get it. I was all hooked up on the Eagles and some Southern rock stuff, with Charlie Daniels Band and Marshall Tucker and the Allman Brothers and all this stuff. I did not get Yes. I wasn't a prog guy yet, I guess. And it wasn't till probably, I don't know, I always liked a few of the songs, obviously Roundabout and some of the other songs were very cool, but to actually delve into their albums, I didn't start doing that until maybe 10 or 12 years ago, believe it or not, and just something clicked. I bought the Yes album, something clicked, I went, this is pretty incredible. And then Close to the Edge, couldn't stop playing Close to the Edge. Once I got a hold of the music and figured it all out, and realized how special these guys are and what great musicians they are, this album just moved up on the charts for me with a bullet, I'll tell you that. I absolutely think it's a masterpiece. Great album. Released in 1972. It's their 5th studio album, and this is the last one with Bill Bruford, who left to join one of my other favorite bands, King Crimson. So I guess I have become a bit of a prog guy over the years now. Anyway, Yes, Close to the Edge, fantastic album. Number 9 of the greatest albums of all time, Close to the Edge. Okay, number 8, I'm getting a lot of feedback, flack about the Beatles. There's only, hey, you've only mentioned like a couple of Beatles albums, and more Beatles coming. Are we all going to be disappointed? Hang in there. Just be patient. Number 8, Revolver. Some consider this the best Beatles album. I consider it the second best Beatles album. So there. So I guess you got a hint that there's one more coming. Revolver, 1966. This started kind of the psychedelic period for them with Tomorrow Never Knows, Paul's Drug Song, Got to Get You Into My Life, Good Day Sunshine, And Your Bird Can Sing, For No One. Just a great, great album. I think if there's any weak part in this album, it's Yellow Submarine. They could have put another song on there besides Yellow Submarine, but I joked about that in another video. But it is what it is. And Taxman to start off the album's great. Eleanor Rigby, incredible. I'm Only Sleeping, Love You Too. Here, There, and Everywhere was my wife Lynn and I's wedding song. She Said, about John meeting Peter Fonda at a party. He was stoned on acid and kept saying, I know what it's like to be dead. And that's where the lyrics to that song came from. One of my favorite Beatles songs, For No One, Paul McCartney. Great, great album. Revolver, incredible cover by Klaus Voormann, just amazing. Number 7, the best Stones album. Just did my Show Us Your Stones video yesterday, and I definitely showed this, but let's show it again, because it is number 7 on the greatest of all times, Exile on Main Street, released in 1972. I saw the 72 tour for this show. Great show. My favorite concert of all time was Stevie Wonder opening, Maple Leaf Gardens. I remember back in the day, you had to line up if you wanted concert tickets. There was no such thing as a Ticketmaster. And the day before, the tickets went on sale. My cousin and I got there about 4 o'clock in the afternoon the day before. The tickets were going on sale the next morning at 10 a.m. Well, little did we know that a couple of thousand, at least, other people had the same idea. We ended up closing Carlton Street. It got so crazy, and it turned into a big street party, one of the greatest nights of my life. We had so much fun, everybody partying their faces off, staying up all night, and then all of a sudden, crack of dawn, hey, we better get lined up. So everybody just started lining up. It was a really cool evening. No issues, no fights. I even remember standing there, and this guy came walking up to me and gave me some money and said, hey, you guys are so well behaved, and this is so cool. He said, go get yourself a bottle of wine or something. So I ended up going and get a bottle of wine to drink, whatever. So anyway, great night, but it was worth every second of it, because this was a fantastic concert. This is a great album. This is my original pressing. Comes with all the original covers, postcards, whole whack of postcards. My favorite Stone song is Moonlight Mile off of Sticky Fingers. But my second favorite Stone song is Tumblin' Dice. That's off of this album. Sweet Virginia's on this album. Rip This Joint. Great rock songs on this album. Rocks Off, the opening track. Black Angel, Torn and Frayed. Happy, Keith Richards. Turd on the Run, Ventilator Blues, I Just Want to See His Face, Let It Loose, All Down the Line, one of the songs they play in concert quite a bit. Stop Breaking Down, Shine a Light, Soul Survivor. Man, oh man. This is the Stones at their best. Gritty, dirty. It was recorded in France. They stayed at this big house, and in the basement, I think there was a lot of drugs involved in those days, a lot of heroin going on, but they made it through and made an incredible, incredible album. Exile on Main Street, number 7. Number 6, the Beatles again. My friend Tim's going to be pissed at me that this is only number 6. Abbey Road. Abbey Road is arguably, again, the best Beatles album. I think you'd get the argument between this and Revolver from a lot of people. What can you say about Abbey Road, released in 1969? You know, my recollection of this, I don't know what everybody else was like when we were my age, but there wasn't a lot of rock news. And you never got, like today, you know an album's coming out on whatever date. I don't recall ever getting a release date on Beatles albums because there was no internet. There was no way of looking this stuff up. And I remember, just on a fluke, I happened to be going at the local mall by my house. I was 16 years old, and I look at the record stand, and there's a Beatles album sitting on the stand. I'm going, what's this? Pick it up. I run home, and I think I probably already spent my allowance, and begged my dad for, $3.99 or whatever the album cost in those days. He gave it to me, ran back to the store, come back with Abbey Road under my arm, put it on the turntable, and what do you hear? Come Together. Oh my God, and then the medley and Something and I Want You. Incredible album, just incredible. Blew my mind, still blows my mind. Wonderful, wonderful album. Great album cover. Great way for a send-off, boys. The last thing they recorded, and it couldn't have had a more of a storybook ending. Classic album. Number 6, Abbey Road. Number 5, beautiful record. When they say this is a perfect album, I think there was a response thread going around saying this is a perfect album. Well, to me, this would have been number 1 on my perfect album response if I did one. Van Morrison, Astral Weeks. Released in 1968. This was right after Van had hits with Brown Eyed Girl and the album Blowing Your Mind with the TB sheets and He Ain't Give You None and just that soulful rock stuff he was doing. And to come out with an album like Astral Weeks, which is so acoustic jazz and pop and just so different from anything else out there. Instead of the first album being called Blowing Your Mind, this one should have been called Blowing Your Mind because it sure did. Beautiful, beautiful record from start to finish. The opening track, Astral Weeks, To Be Born Again, then Beside You, Sweet Thing, Cypress Avenue, Young Lovers Do, great jazz tune. My favorite Van Morrison song of all time, Madame George, Ballerina, Slim Slow Slider. Just a beautiful, beautiful record. Perfect in every way. Love it. Never get sick of it. I could listen to it over and over again. This would definitely be a desert island one for me. I saw Van on this tour in I can't remember if it was 68 or early 69 when he played at Massey Hall. Kind of a cool show, except Van was in his band mood. The music was great, but it wasn't very lively or anything, but just to go and hear some incredible music, it was a great show. So Van Morrison, Astral Weeks. Number 5. Number 4, a band that has become over the years just one of my favorite bands. I've gone to see them a couple of times over the past couple of years, and their live performances have just blown me away. The musicianship is frigging incredible. King Crimson in the Court of the Crimson's King. This was released in 1969. Robert Fripp, Greg Lake. What a cover. What a cover. I have a good friend of mine who says it scares the crap out of him. I'd like to get a giant poster of it and put it on my wall. Jacko Jaksic, who plays guitar and does the vocals now in the band, his guitar has this painting on the front of it. It's a very cool looking guitar. I think it's a Paul Reed Smith. They are an incredible band. This is arguably the father of prog rock. Amazing, amazing album from start to finish. I want to play something for you because the 50th anniversary of this album, they released a 3 CD box set and they put an alternate version of the album on. And the song on this album that I love and my favorite King Crimson song is Epitaph. I don't think the song ever gets old. With the times we live in today, the lyrics are still topical. But here, they've isolated Greg Lake's vocals, and I think Greg Lake's one of the greatest singers of all time. And here's a bit of Epitaph with Greg Lake.
The wall on which the prophets wrote is cracking at the seams. Upon sunlight brightly gleams, when every man is torn apart with nightmares and with dreams, will no one lay the laurel wreath when silence drowns the screams? Confusion will be my epitaph as I crawl a cracked and broken path. If we make it, we can all sit back and laugh. But I fear tomorrow I'll be crying. Yes, I fear tomorrow I'll be crying. Yes, I fear tomorrow I'll be crying.
Is that not make the hairs on your on your arms stand up? Incredible. That just gives me the shivers when I hear that. What a beautiful performance. Greg Lake left the band after this album to form Emerson, Lake and Palmer. He did come back to kind of do them a favor and sang on a couple of the tunes on the second album, Poseidon, and but other than that, he was gone, and they moved on with so many different versions of the band, so many great singers. But this is the album of all albums, number 4 on my list, In the Court of the Crimson King, King Crimson. Number 3, an album that probably I'm going to get some flack over, but this album is another perfect album to me. I don't know what it is. When it came out in 1971, I bought it just because of the cover. I was aware of Jethro Tull, but didn't own any of their albums up until now. I'd never been motivated to buy an album, but I saw that cover and bought it just because of the cover and brought it home. And from the first note I heard right through to the end, it's kind of a concept album without really being a concept. All the songs flow together. Martin Barr's guitar playing is incredible. Ian Anderson's vocals, his lyrics, just an amazing album. I love Aqualung, another album that I would take on a desert island with me. Great, great rock album. Aqualung, number 3. Number 2, Dancing with Mr. D, Bob Dylan, Blonde on Blonde. Released in 1966. The thin Mercury sound that Bob was after, that he was hearing in his head, he accomplished it with this album. When you hear this album, that's kind of reminds you of like a hot and melting Mercury. The songs are incredible. He had a couple of hits off this album with Just Like a Woman and I Want You. Last song on the album took up the whole side, Sad-Eyed Lady of the Lowland. Visions of Johanna's on here, which is my favorite Bob Dylan song. Amazing, amazing album. Recorded in Nashville with all the Nashville session guys, and they had never, I think their minds were blown working with Bob. He would sit there, be writing songs at the session, and they'd be sitting there going, what the hell's going on? And then he'd run through something with them, and they'd be doing sessions till 4 in the morning. I don't think that was the way these Nashville pickers worked, but did they ever make a phenomenal album? Blonde on Blonde, number 2, amazing, amazing record. I think the first double rock album too. It could be in a dogfight with Zappa and the Mothers' Freak Out, but it's either one of those two. And number 1, you guys probably have all known all along what number 1 was going to be. This is my masterpiece of all time. Not that I had anything to do with making it, but the album that I consider the greatest album of all time, Sgt. Pepper's. I've felt that way since I bought it in June of 1967, and I haven't changed my mind in 53 years of listening to music. This is the Beatles' masterpiece as far as I'm concerned. The recording techniques they used, the iconic cover, printed lyrics on the back, kick-started the Summer of Love, which was most one of the magical musical years of my life, maybe the most magical. I don't know what else can be said about Sgt. Pepper. It's just an incredible album. I think everybody will agree, except Richard Dolan, that A Day in the Life is an incredible song. But this album just flows together beautifully. My favorite songs are actually It's Getting Better. I love Paul McCartney's bass playing on this album. If you ever just isolate and try and hear something, listen to Paul's bass playing. It's very melodic, very cool. If you watch, I know there's a Making of Sgt. Pepper documentary. If you have the Sgt. Pepper 50th anniversary box, the documentary comes in the box, but I think it's also available. You might even be able to watch it on YouTube. But there's a time when George Martin is sitting there playing back some of the stuff, and Paul's sitting with him, and Paul talks about his approach to bass playing on this album, how he waited until the songs were completed and then added his bass parts at the end, so he could come up with really interesting melodic bass lines, and he sure did. I think it drives the album. I actually think this is probably a Paul album more than anybody else's. I don't think this album would have been accomplished without him. Sgt. Pepper, #1. Very cool. That's it. The top 100. Whew. That was a lot of work. If you don't think that was a lot of work, try that. I want to say that if anyone is really interested in the whole 100 list, because everything's been, it's been over a few weeks that this has been done, I will put my email in the description on the video, and if you want to email me and tell me that you would like a list of the top 100, I will be happy to send it to you. So thanks for everybody for watching. I really appreciate it. One more thing. Norman Maslov started a contest to celebrate. He's close to 3,000 subscribers in 2 years. And man, I understand why he's got 3,000 subscribers. Wonderful channel. Super human being. I love the guy. Anyway, he's doing a contest. It runs until September 15th. It is San Francisco based. I'll let you go and watch Mazzy's channel and get the rules to it and everything, but you got to talk about San Francisco, about parts of San Francisco and movies, and there's a whole bunch of parts. You can just choose one, talk about a band from San Francisco. So I just want to let you guys know that I'm pumped to do this contest. I'm ready. Mazzy, I'm ready. If you're watching this, I'm going to work on it tomorrow and upload it. I am really excited. San Francisco is my favorite city on earth. The music that came out of San Francisco is pretty much my favorite music on earth. And thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate it. We'll be back. Take care.